I'm Peter Murphy, President and CEO of the Illinois Association of Park Districts, and I'm pleased to talk today with Edward A. Karasek, a 50-year commissioner with the Berwyn Park District. This is IAPD's Park and Conservation Legends Program. Ed, it's great to be with you today. You're serving your 49th year. You were involved when at the very first of your time with park districts?
March 16th, 1966 is when I attended as a park district commissioner the Berwyn Park District. That was my first meeting.
That's fantastic. So that means in less than 6 months, you're going to be a 50-year commissioner.
Correct.
That is fantastic.
Correct.
I hope you've not done the math on how many meetings and other things that involved you in throughout the years. That's a tremendous volunteer service to your community.
Well, I rarely missed a meeting. The only 2 meetings I missed is when I had a heart attack 20 years ago.
Well, that would be understandable.
Otherwise, I would not miss a meeting.
That's fantastic.
It is important that a commissioner attend all meetings. If they don't, they lose a lot of the information that they should have, and they don't contribute to the good of the district.
And you've also been involved in your community in the parent-teacher organization?
I've been involved in PTA. I was a co-founder of the Berwyn Development Corporation. I've been a pilot in World War II in the China-Burma India Theater of Operations. Wow. I've been a person who joined the ABC, the All Berwyn Committee. I've been involved in the Kiwanis for over 60 years.
Fantastic.
The importance of being involved is you get insights from everyone on what the park district should be doing. When I was a commissioner for the first time, we had a very small district. In fact, it was a district that had only one park, and that was called the Berwyn Park at that time. Our superintendent, we had no executive director, was Joe Proksa, Proksa. And Joe Proksa actually put together the Berwyn Park, a gem of small parks in Illinois.
Is the community garden named after him?
The park is named after him.
Okay.
Proksa Park.
Proksa Park
is now the name of the Berwyn Park. And Joe got trees from the Chicago tree nursery that was nearby. He dug all the holes necessary. He designed the park. He saved the lagoons and the stream. He actually was the builder of the Berwyn Park District. And a group of citizens in 1923 decided that they're not going to let a developer take that city block and put homes there. They're going to save it as a park.
And that's how it started.
And that's how it started. And this group of citizens put through a referendum, and it failed.
Really?
Because the rest of Berwyn voted no. So Bob Teeter and a number of the others said, let's look and see where the yes votes were.
That's smart.
Put through another referendum, and we got a small park. The Berwyn Park District was formed. Berwyn is actually a rectangle.
Mm-hmm.
The middle of the rectangle is Cermak Road, 22nd Street.
Mm-hmm.
We were contemplating annexing the rest of the area that we didn't have up to Cermak Road and make the Berwyn Park District larger. And I pushed that very hard.
Mm-hmm.
And we did that because there were 2 council members of the city of Berwyn who were trying to negate this process. And we had an attorney who actually said we could take all of Berwyn, all the way up to Roosevelt Road.
Uh-huh.
No, we just take up to Cermak, and that's where we are now. So we're really not a large park district. But from Proxa Park, I pushed with others for more park space. A home burned on a corner.
Mm-hmm.
I said, let's go get it. The Commercial National Bank of Berwyn was the one who had the title to that property. So we bought it for $50,000. It became Hessler Park,
Wow.
named after Mr. Hessler. And we went on, and there was a big piece of land. Part of it was owned by the school district. Some portions were owned by individuals. Some people owned some of the property along the edge. And we decided, let's go get that. That's a big piece of land. And it became Freedom Park, part of the park district.
That's awesome.
After a lot of
Took a lot of work to put that together, it sounds
put it
like.
all together, to put that together. And I went down with Al Vanna, who was the next superintendent and became our executive director, Al Vanna, and went down to Springfield and says, we want a grant. We want a grant so we can purchase this piece of land with a home on the edge, and we want so much money. Well, at that time, the Osland grants, the money was not given before you started the project. You had to finish the project.
Right. Yes, that's right.
See? And so we got the money to buy the land and to buy the house, take the house down, and build a small park with a children's playground and our maintenance department on one end. So we got the Osland grant, paid back some of the money. And we went on, and I've been part of it, and I'm proud of what we have now, because Jeff Janda, our current executive director, is probably working right now to acquire another piece of land.
Wow.
4 lots and a old house that is opposite our Liberty Center, where we have indoor facilities and a large parking lot, but we don't have any children's playground.
Oh, so it's an indoor recreational facility then?
Yes. And I said, let's buy that property and build a kids' playground there. We need one in the area. All we've got is baseball fields that the city has.
Oh.
So we are in the process of purchasing it, paying no more than $200,000.
Well, that's fantastic. That's how you build a park district. It's over time, putting together various properties and deals and getting help from the state a little bit on the OSLAD program really made a difference in that one project.
Well, we had approval for an Osland grant for that property, and also to rebuild the lagoons and stream in Proxa Park. We had approval for that, and Governor Rayner, in his magnificence, said, no more grants, money paid out.
Well, it's my hope that that'll change in the future. I think, we'll have to wait and see, but...
So, we received a communication stating you will not get the dollars at this time. So, we're going to have to wait for those lagoons and that stream, but we're going to purchase the land.
Good.
Now, the key to a live working park district is to have the right people. You got to be sure you hire the right people to run it.
You bet.
And you have to stay within your budget. And don't spend money that you don't have or can't get. Watch your pennies. The key to the Berwyn Park District, in my opinion, is that we think of the people the taxpayers who are paying the freight. And I'm one of them.
Sure.
And it is a situation where we are limited to how much money we can get.
That's right.
And we are limited on how much money we can borrow. So we have in the city of Berwyn 3 park recreation facilities. The North Berwyn Park District was formed 30 years ago. The city of Berwyn has a recreation department. They would love to give it to us. However, they tax over $1 million
To operate that.
and we can't get that kind of tax money to operate.
Right.
Because, of course, they use a lot of patronage people there, whereas we do not do that. So we're sitting with a recreation department that has a swimming pool that is leaking and a very nice building that is not maintained, and some ball fields that are maintained. North Berwyn operates its own
Thing. So that's the city then, that the things are, the pool is leaking and things are going wrong.
Before I leave, I would like to see some way to combine, because the majority of the recreation properties are in our district.
Well, that makes sense.
But $1.5 million, we could operate it for maybe 800,000, maybe a little less.
But you'd still need some revenue to do that.
But we have to have a revenue.
You bet.
Yeah.
Now, in 1966, what was your motivation to run for park board?
Well, I was a Kiwanian of the Kiwanis Club of Berwyn, 40 men in the community. Very important organization because it covered all the real doers and shakers in Berwyn. And a gentleman by the name of Jerry Cahoot, a teacher at Morton High School, was treasurer of the Kiwanis Club. And he says, "Ed, you got an accounting degree from college. I'm gone 3 months and my vacation home in Michigan. You take over the treasurer's job." So, okay. All right. Then he says, "Ed, I'm a commissioner in the Park District, and I really can't handle that with being gone 3 months. Why don't I nominate you as to be a commissioner in the Park District? They need one. 5 commissioners. They had 4, they needed one. So they took me, March 16th, 1966.
And that's how it all began.
That's how it all began.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
What's your philosophy on what makes a good commissioner?
Well, he or she have to, first of all, be in the community a while. Two, they have to have a clear leadership voice for the community and the district. They have to feel that they can contribute, not just get a position. It's a 6-year term.
Mm-hmm.
And it is important that they are individuals who will serve the 6 years.
It's a big commitment to do that for 6 years.
See?
Sure.
And not say, well, if I get the commissioner's position, as many did, I'll have a chance maybe to get on the council and get some pay. So they have to love their community. They have to be in the community at least a few years, maybe 2 to 5.
Mm-hmm.
So
To understand the community and what it needs.
Understand
then.
what the Park District does. Many run but are not elected because they are not known in the community.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't done anything.
They haven't been involved with
No.
community service groups and things like
Nothing.
that. Yeah.
See? In other words, a person who is involved in the community makes a good Park District Commissioner.
Sure.
No.
That's great. You know, kind of tying into that question, and I'm in your almost 50 years of service as a park commissioner, you've seen a lot of new commissioners. What would you give advice to as a new commissioner? What would you tell a new commissioner they needed to focus on?
Well, I'm not afraid to speak out at a meeting or at a committee meeting. I believe that the park board should work as a team. However, if there is a problem developing, somebody has to speak out. We've had persons running who I told very frankly, you are not going to get elected.
What did they say about that? And they were...
What do you mean? What do you mean? I said, you are not running for the good of the Park District. You're running for your going good. You're not feeling the community spirit here. There's a problem with a commissioner who in turn wants to control the board. We've had those too.
Sure.
In other words, he's the boss and he tries to overcome the executive director's thinking. I've had to stand up a few times and give a lecture.
Well, not everybody understands that boards are policy making and not management.
And that's exactly what I tell them. Our executive director is our manager. We make policy. We make decisions. We approve a board budget. We do not tell our executive director what to do.
Well, that's
However,
good.
if the board feels that there should be a change in direction, and they feel that the decisions being made by an executive director are not for the common good of the park district, we should tell him or her. We've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 executive directors. Several were not adequate. Some were not knowledgeable at all, and one passed away in office.
So that leads me kind of to the next question. What attributes do you think a park district director should have to be successful?
Well, we've been fortunate to have 2 out of these 6 that have been adequate, that have loved the district, that have lived in the district, that continued to live in the district was Alvana. Jeff Janda lived in the district. Both of them loved their community.
And that's really the key. You have to love your community. I think as a park board member, you have to love your community too, to really serve well.
And both of them are involved in other activities in the community besides the park district. In other words, Alvana was a Kiwanian, so was Jeff.
That's great.
Okay. Berwyn Development Corporation, Jeff is on it now. Both of these men were involved in the community, and they love their job and the park district.
That's fantastic. Now I've got another question for you, and we talked a little bit about this, but what do you think about, park districts are a unique way to deliver park and recreation services. Do you think park districts are better suited to deliver park and recreation services than city government, as an example?
Well, there's 2 questions. Dollars and hiring. The city government has more money available. The city government, however, in my opinion, hires too many people. They could cut their costs quite a bit. The key to operation of a park district is to, number 1, maintain the properties. That's prior, number 1. Maintain the properties. 2, hire individuals and people who also like and will love the community and will love the park district. You can't have a recreation director who knows nothing about the community.
Because you don't know about the people and the demographics and
Nothing.
what people want.
You can't have that. You have to have people who are aware that Berwyn has a lot of Hispanic citizens and taxpayers. We try very much to get the Hispanic population involved in our activities. It is difficult.
Is it? Why do you think that is?
Because somehow the Hispanic thinking is we're different. We're not really involved in the community yet. We may go back to Mexico or wherever we came from.
Mm-hmm.
And the children are not encouraged
To become involved.
be involved in Park District activities. No matter how we try, it's very difficult to get them involved. We
Well-
do have soccer programs sold out.
Sure. Soccer's.
Freedom Park, we built a soccer field. Grass, no. Artificial turf, yes. Use year-round.
Wow.
We got $1 million outright grant from Springfield to build a pool, zero depth, for young children.
Mm-hmm.
And the Hispanic mothers will bring the kids to the pool. Yes.
Good. Well, it sounds like you're doing a lot of reaching out to the Hispanic community to
Very
get
much
them
so.
involved. Yeah.
Very
Well,
much.
that's good. That's important, and I know
See.
those efforts will pay off.
See, and it is a slow process.
Sure. Well, you have to build, I think you have to build trust and understanding, and you have to look at what people are interested in, and it sounds like you're doing all of those things.
Well, first of all, in the beginning, they wanted everything for nothing, everything free. Well, some of the programs we have to charge some money.
Sure.
So we can maintain our budget. And lately it has improved. And there's different thinking now.
Great.
See? But it's going to take another generation, I think, to change completely.
But it will change completely. I think that's the
I'm-
understanding.
Well, I'm of Czech descent. I speak the language.
Oh, you do?
I didn't speak English until I went to first grade. I was like a Hispanic. And there were maybe 30 kids the same way. Woodrow Wilson School in Cicero. Inside of 6 months, we were all speaking English. No bilingual, no nothing. See?
That's interesting.
So that's the thing that the Hispanic population is trying to struggle with. They don't want to lose the old.
Your identity, I think, sometimes
And
is
their
very
identi-
important.
yeah.
Right.
See? So the Berwyn Park District has attempted, with some success now, to get them involved.
That's great.
Yeah.
I've got another question for you. What's the best advice you could give a 20-year-old?
20-year-old should be in college.
So go to school is your advice, right? And get an education?
And a 20-year-old should be a sophomore in college. If the dollars aren't there and a scholarship is not available, you still can go to Morton Junior College, or Morton College now it's called, a 2-year school. And at 20-year-old will become a 21 and a 22-year-old graduated from a junior college and will be thinking, I think I'm going to continue. I'm going to go on. See? I did that. I graduated from Morton High School a year early because I was a smart kid. So, anyway, that's what the teachers
Is that what the
thought.
teachers told you?
Yeah.
It wasn't because you were acting out in class or anything. They just
No.
wanted to advance you?
No. Oh, so I went to work selling shirts for Bedford Shirt Company downtown. Okay? I said, you know, Ed, you're not going to get anywhere. You'll become a store manager and that'll be it. I'm going to go back to Morton Junior College, the Terrazzo campus in the high school on the 4th floor. And we had I would say, professors that were outstanding with the kids. And one of them particularly, an economics teacher and a geology teacher also outstanding. And the economics teacher went to Miami University in Oxford, Ohio.
Very good school.
That's where he graduated from. And he got me a scholarship there.
Wow.
So, what happens? The Japanese invade Pearl Harbor.
Right before you were going to go?
On the 8th of December, 1941, I enlisted in the Army Air Corps. I was going to enlist in the Marines. And 4 of us kids went down to the federal courthouse, stood in line, waited. Again, fortune came. Pretty young lady came by in a blue and gold outfit, blue skirt and a gold blouse, carrying a tray. Looked like donuts and something to drink, and I followed her into the room she went into, and it was the Air Force recruiting.
No kidding.
Yes.
So, and did they teach you to fly then?
Yes.
Wow.
Oh, sure. And a 20-year-old I was in Morton Junior College, and if I hadn't gone there, nothing would have happened that happened. I would have never met Mary, probably. I never would have flew airplanes. Probably wind up in some grave on Guadalcanal.
So things work out for the best, don't they? It's amazing. Yep. Did you go back to school when you got out of the military?
Yes. Yeah.
Did you go to Miami?
Miami University.
Oh, you did? Oh,
I
fantastic.
finished.
That's
Yeah.
wonderful. So what's the best advice anyone's ever given you? I mean, Mary's must have probably gives you advice every once in a while.
Go to school.
Go to school.
Go
Okay.
to school.
That's great.
Go to get educated. Don't resist that,
That's great. That's wonderful. And
because if you don't get an education, particularly in our economic situation now, you're not going to get anywhere. You're not going to get anywhere. If you want to be a carpenter, if you want to be a mechanic, still go to school. Because both of those jobs involve not only your hands, but your brain.
you bet they do. Absolutely.
You know.
What do you think the benefits of Parks and Recreation are?
Well, one, it teaches the community how to live and enjoy each other in a park setting. It gives the community what I call an activity that they wouldn't have otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
I see North Berwyn, which does not have the properties we do, trying very hard to keep their community, which is very strongly Hispanic, together. Whereas we've got Proxa Park,
Mm-hmm.
picnic groves, 3 of them, space for 2 ball fields, tennis courts.
So you've got places where really people can gather and do things together as a family.
That's exactly what is needed in a community. They come and pay the $10 or $12 rental fee for the picnic grove. We furnish the tables and have a policeman around. But the community gets together. And then they tell others, come move to Berwyn. We've got parks, we've got this, we've
Right.
got that. But they always remember Proxa Park, because it is a gem.
That's fantastic. That is fantastic.
Yeah.
What do you think the future of Parks and Recreation is going to be like?
Well, the future is basically the past. You got to keep building. You have to keep building the community, and one of the things that makes a community attractive is open space. You must, and the leaders in the community must, keep an eye on open space. It is not important to have every square foot of land with a house on it or a store. It is important to have green, grass, trees, have a picnic areas. You have to do that, and you have to keep building that. Maybe we don't have to do as much of assimilation that we've been doing.
Mm-hmm.
People will assimilate. We're at a point in Berwyn where we have a minimal amount of open land. Now, we have to say to ourselves, do we want to use it for a building, or do we want to use it for a park? Do we have the dollars to maintain the park?
Mm-hmm.
We do. Recreation is one thing, but maintaining the parks, to me, is very, very important.
Because it makes it an attractive place for people to come, and they understand. That's part of community pride, I think, when you see parks that are well maintained, and it draws people naturally into them when that's the case, don't you think?
Well, it draws people into them and draws them into the community.
Sure.
And makes them part of the community.
You bet.
Right? That's something the city can't do. The city council can't do that. With the recreation department they have, they're just sitting with what they've got.
Mm-hmm. So they don't have the long view on the importance of open space, which really makes a community. When you think of Central Park, you think of you know, what that makes New York City, or the shoreline for Chicago is really something that's unique to
Park.
Grant Park. Fabulous. It's a jewel.
If you didn't have Grant Park,
what would Chicago be like? That's
what
right.
would it look like?
We'd have a bunch of buildings on it, or high rises probably, right?
Yeah.
So that really is true. Every community does need to have open space, and they need to have those parks that are really the signature park, like you're talking about with Praxis Park. You know, the jewel of the community.
Where we don't have a city block. I bought a piece of land in a city block next to Praxis Park because it belonged to the high school.
Mm-hmm.
And the high schools said it's too small for a Morton West High School. We just had one in Cicero, J. Sterling Morton High School. Now it's East and West. But the city of Chicago owned a big piece of land along Harlem Avenue on both sides of Berwyn and Tree Farm. It was available. They wanted to sell it. So the high school board bought it and sold the property where I live to a developer. Right next, I can look out right there and I can see Praxis Park.
That's great. That's a great story. I love that.
Yeah.
How would you like to be remembered as a park commissioner?
Well, in their thinking, the board with the city mayor decided to name a park after me.
Wow, that's the highest honor you can get.
And it's a little triangle park in a business district in South Berwyn. And it was a cleaning establishment. It was polluted for many years. The city cleaned it up and gave it to us. And in their magnificence, they decided to call it Edward A. Karasek Park.
That's wonderful. That's pretty nice when that happens while you're living. You know, that's the real tribute right there.
Well,
you know, it's no good afterwards.
As I stated at an IAPD convention downtown when I was called up on the stage, I says, it's great to be up here and be able to smell the roses.
That's absolutely true. Well, thank you for spending time with me today. It's my honor to talk to you. And I know one of the things that people will always know about you is that Edward A. Karasek made a difference in the community of Berwyn, in the state. Really.
I feel I have.
Well, congratulations, and thank you for your commitment, and thank you for all your years of service as a park commissioner. I'm honored to be with you.
President Murphy, I'm honored to be with you.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.